Nikki here, writing for Jesus. Today's the day. I'm going to read chapter 1 of my book, A Change in the Winds. It is a Christian fiction mystery. I'm going to read you the blurb on the back, and then I will read chapter 1. So I hope you are blessed by the read, and I'm just really thankful to be able to do this, and God is good. So here we go. Hope you enjoy. It's been 3 long, hard years since the fire. Hanika Vienta, private investigator, knows that the fire was just a cover-up for the murder of her parents, and she knows the killer is still out there. When she takes on a new client, Cameron Baines, she finds a friend who begins to help her discover the answers she so desperately needs. But as the truth surfaces, so does the danger. And when the threats become all too real, she fears the killer will silence her before she can solve the case. However, in order to find her heart's deepest need, Hanika must first surrender to God, who is all our deepest need, whether we know it or not. To my Heavenly Father and my Savior Jesus, the only ones who put a change in our winds. Chapter 1. Taking a deep breath, Hanika opened the door to Detective Harrison's office, Homicide Division. Usually, when she came into this room, she would ask him if he had any more leads for her to follow, and he would reply no in a tired tone. But today, he had been the one to call her in. That was a first, which may have been the reason for the anxiety and excitement pricking at her stomach. Maybe they'd made a break in the case, and he wanted to fill her in? Don't get ahead of yourself, Hanika. Relax. Noticing he was on the phone, she paused at the threshold until he motioned for her to come in. Closing the door behind her, she sat down and waited, her knee bouncing. Detective Harrison was a good man, and an even better detective. He never got too attached to people or cases, but always remained level-headed and polite, even when Hanika would, on occasion, get over-emotional. The past 3 years had been rough, to say the least, but Detective Harrison had been helpful and faithful through it all. The false alarms, the dead ends, the stress. But today, Hanika sensed she'd walk out of here with a new emotion. Hope. Once he placed the receiver back to its holder, she smiled. You wanted to see me? Yes, Hanika, I did. He seemed busier than usual, his office in more disarray, his face more haggard as he messed with some of the papers on his desk. Hanika felt her optimism already waning. Whatever the news was, it couldn't be too good. He wasn't even making eye contact. But right when she was going to say something, he gave her a look that made her feel like a kid again, sitting in the principal's office. You broke into the Jacksons' home last night, he said evenly. You want to tell me why? Hanika felt like a deer in the headlights. How'd you know about that? They have security cameras in their house. They've got you on tape. She glanced everywhere but into those dark eyes of his. It's not like I took anything. That's beside the point, Hanika. This time you crossed the line, broke the law. I thought they could be involved in the murder. I've seen them at the Blues Bar talking with Maxwell several times. I was just looking for clues, a connection. And did you find anything? She kept her head down, not out of fear, but from embarrassment. No? He sighed, beginning to put away files. Kid, listen. I spoke to the Jacksons, explained the situation to them. They've agreed not to press charges as long as it doesn't happen again. But I'm warning you. You do anything like this again, and I will take the necessary steps to have your PI license revoked. That struck a nerve, and she looked up. You wouldn't. I would, so don't tempt me. Hanika was exasperated, but at the moment all she could do was breathe. The butterflies in her stomach had morphed into wasps, stinging and stabbing all over. He pushed the file drawer closed. You have to follow the rules just like everyone else. I'm not letting you make excuses because of your closeness to this case. She suddenly launched to her feet. But I'm the only one close enough to do anything about it. No one else cares about this or understands it like I do. The way you've been acting lately only proves that you're too close, too emotionally attached. You're becoming desperate. You've been making poor choices and mistakes. I'm sorry, but I have to be able to trust you, and I can't do that with the frame of mind you have right now. He sat back down, his face softening a fraction. Look, Hanika, I am sorry about what happened to your parents. I wish we had their killer. But I can't let you break the law in the hopes that you'll find who's responsible. I have a job to do, and so do you. I'm trying to do my job. You're telling me to back off. Your job is to help others the right way, not bend or break the rules to get what you want." He let that comment sink in and then finished. "I don't think it would hurt to take a break from this, at least until you get your head on straight. Focus on your other cases instead." She avoided his gaze, biting her lip. "You have no other cases to work on, do you?" Still no answer. "Well, that fact alone only proves my point." "But what about this case? What about my family? Are you telling me to just give up?" "I'm telling you to take a break, and if you can't do that, then you may just have to let this go." She tried for a more aggressive tone, but her words came out a distressed plea. "I can't." "Hanika," he ran a hand down his face. "It's been 3 years. We've had no leads, nothing. I've helped as much as I can, but sometimes you just have to cut your losses. I can't tell you how many cold cases are in this file drawer. But if I focused on that, I put myself in an early grave. I don't want that for you." Hanika couldn't believe what she had just heard. Her spirits had plummeted in a matter of seconds. Even though her aunt and uncle had been telling her the same things, she couldn't accept it. A large part of her was still there, in that smoke-filled, tear-stained, burned-down lab. She couldn't let it go until justice was served. Deflated, she silently turned and began to walk out of the office. "Hanika." She paused, hand on the knob. "I am sorry." Tears threatening to escape, she nodded and left the room, hearing the blinds clatter behind her. It seemed the few people who understood her were one by one slipping away. The next day, Hanika walked into Cup of Kindness, the coffee house that she owned and managed. After that conversation, no lecture from Detective Harrison, she didn't feel much like working, but she needed to. Needed the distraction. His words wouldn't leave her. "You're becoming desperate. You may have to just let this go." Feeling a headache coming on, Hanika rubbed her temple. Sure, she had toed the line of right and wrong, but she had never actually broken the law before. That wasn't her, which meant desperation really was setting in. As hard as it was to admit it, she knew he was right. She needed a change. So earlier that morning, Hanika had answered an email from a potential client and suggested they meet at the coffee shop to discuss his request. It certainly couldn't hurt, right? Shaking off the worry and disappointment in her shoulders, Hanika focused her attention on Jake and Crystal, who were more like friends than employees. Crystal Meyer had a spunky, friendly attitude to match her boisterous hair. She had been a good friend over the past few years, and was always one to cheer her up. She helped reduce stress by being on top of things at work and joking with her throughout the day. Jake Stern was another hard worker, though a tad clumsy at times. He was very gentle and meek, the complete opposite of what his name suggested. The kid wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, he might try to. Hanika had watched him swinging like crazy at one just the other day. If there was such a thing as the most enthusiastic fly swatter, Jake would have gotten the commendation. That was one thing about these employees that Hanika really appreciated. Whatever they did, whatever she asked them to do, they did it to the best of their ability. Whether it was grabbing more supplies, cleaning up tables, or even doing a little eavesdropping for her, they were willing to do the job. They were reliable and easy, even fun to work with, which was a rarity to find. "Hey, boss," Jake said, breaking her train of thought. "How was the meeting yesterday?" Hanika paused. "Oh, not great." "What happened?" "It's kind of a long story, but basically I'm back at square one. Detective Harrison thinks I should take a break from it, so I've got a client coming in today with something completely different. Maybe it'll help clear my mind." "Oh, I'm sorry. Hope things work out for you." "Thanks, Jake." Crystal had a different opinion, and she was not one to be left out of a conversation. "I don't know what that detective is thinking. He's the one who needs to take a break, if you ask me." "No one did ask you," Jake pointed out with a grin. Crystal slapped his arm. "Ow!" Hanika laughed, shaking her head. Yes, definitely fun to work with. Hearing the bell jingle as someone entered, Hanika walked up to the cash register. "Good morning. How are you today, sir?" "I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?" It took her a moment to gather a response. The young man seemed genuine, not the "fine, give me my coffee" monotone answer she was so accustomed to. "I'm good, thanks," she said. "What can I get you?" "Could I get a large cafe mocha, extra cream, and—" He paused, looking at the snacks beneath the register. "Our blueberry muffins are really popular," she suggested. "Sounds great, I'll take one." "Okay, anything else?" "Actually, yes, I'm looking for Hanika Vienta. My name's Cameron. I was supposed to meet her here this morning." She suppressed the tight smile tugging at her lips. He had pronounced her name wrong, the way everyone did, sounding out all the letters the H included. "Oh, that's me. but it's actually pronounced Annika. Oh, I'm sorry. He grinned bashfully, running a hand through his dark hair that shot up in every direction. She shook her head, waving it off. Happens all the time. You want to find us a table? I'll get your order ready and join you. All right, thank you. After paying for his order, Cameron found an unoccupied seat. Annika fixed his drink quickly, grabbed his muffin, and headed to the booth he had claimed. Time to switch gears from murder and arson to whatever this gentleman needed. Sitting down his order, she then sat across from him, pulling out a pen and pad of paper from her back pocket. Here we go. So, how can I help you, Cameron? Well, like I said in my email, I was hoping you could help me locate my birth parents. I've always wanted to know who my real parents are, but I've had no idea where to start. And that's why I'm here. I'd like to help in any way I can. She flipped open her notepad. I just need to ask you a couple questions. Were you raised in an orphanage? Yes, I spent my childhood at Extended Hands, an orphanage in Houston. Donald and Carla Baines adopted me when I was 8 years old. She stopped writing. Dr. Donald Baines adopted you? He nodded, smiling. Yeah, we have our own practice together. He reached into his wallet, giving her a business card. You know him? He used to work with my dad. Oh, that's right. Richard Vienta, the research physician. I knew your last name sounded familiar. His expression turned somber. I'm so sorry about your father's passing. Thank you. She glanced at her notebook, getting back to business. Do you have any other information that could help me get started? Your birthday, for example. He added another sugar to his coffee, giving her his birth date. Oh, and I have this picture of me and one of the caregivers at the orphanage. It was taken when I was like 6 years old. Annika smiled as she studied the snapshot he passed to her. It seemed Cameron had been in good hands during his stay at the orphanage. She could tell just by the look of adoration on the woman's face who embraced him. I'll definitely hang on to this. I have to warn you, though, Cameron. These types of cases are difficult to solve. Records of this nature are usually sealed. I understand. I just gotta give this a shot, you know? She nodded. Well, I promise I will give this my full attention. I'm going to try to locate your mom first, since that will be the easier route. She handed him one of her business cards. He looked it over. Annika. He said her name to himself correctly. That's a pretty name. It's unique. Thank you. I like it. Only bad thing about it is everyone misspells it and mispronounces it. I usually tell people it's pronounced like the Jewish holiday, Hanukkah, except the H is silent. Then they get it. He laughed. Is your last name Spanish? Yes, it means wind. I got my Hispanic blood from my dad's side. Well, Miss Hanika Vienta, thank you for your time. He gave her hand a warm shake. I appreciate it. No problem, she answered. I'll let you know as soon as I find anything. Annika went to the Extended Hands orphanage the following morning. She opened the door, feeling a little self-conscious. Here she was in nice clothes, with an expensive camera hanging from her neck, while these children wore hand-me-downs donated by the community. A little girl met her in the front room. She looked about 6 years old and had long blonde hair that partially hid the freckles on her cheeks. Annika leaned on her knees to not appear threatening. She had never been very good with kids, though it was something her parents had always been good at. She picked up some tips from them along the way. It didn't seem too hard. It just never came naturally to her. Hi, what's your name? Annika asked. Lily. That's a pretty name. I'm Annika. Is there a grown-up here I could speak to? Lily nodded, and then dashed in the opposite direction, disappearing in one of the rooms. Annika straightened. Either Lily was finding the person who was in charge, or she had just abandoned the stranger who had barged in. She relaxed a bit as the manager, a tired-looking woman, exited the same room, the child in tow. What can I do for you? She asked. Hi, I'm Hanika Vienta, private investigator. I'm here looking for some information, if you don't mind. She handed her a business card. What kind of information? Well, my client, Cameron Baines, was raised here and then adopted by Dr. Donald and Carla Baines 20 years ago. I know that's a long time, but I was wondering if you could help me with any information regarding Cameron's birth mother. I'm sorry, I've only been working here for the past year. I don't think I could help you. Annika adjusted the purse strap on her shoulder. Well, in any case, do you think you could check your records for anything? Or let me take a look? No, that's against policy. But hang on, let me see what I can find. Thank you. Like she had informed Cameron, Annika knew these kinds of records were sealed to protect the birth mothers, but she could hope. Her hostess, Lily, was still standing there, staring at her with curiosity and shyness. Annika was the first to break the silence. How old are you, Lily? 7. Next month I turn 8. Oh, Cool, Annika said lamely, trying to think of something else to say. I'm 23. Do you have a mom? Lily asked. Surprised, Annika glanced in the direction the woman had gone, hoping for her to interrupt the conversation so she wouldn't have to answer. No such luck. My parents passed away a couple years ago, Annika said softly. Oh, do you miss them? Yeah, every day. I never knew my mom or dad, but I miss them too. Annika stared at her innocent eyes, feeling something stirring inside her. Lily piped up again. So, what you doing? Just like that, and the subject had changed. Annika blinked to obliterate the moisture that had gathered. I'm trying to find someone's mom. It's my job. Lily seemed to hesitate. Could you find my mom? Well, Annika gladly left the sentence hanging, seeing the manager walking toward them. Like I said, I can't let you see any of our files, the woman told her, but I will give you the phone number of Stacy Matthews. She was working here around the time your client was brought here. She handed Annika a sticky note. There's really nothing else I can do. No, this is great. Thank you very much for your help. Annika opened the door to leave, but turned to wave goodbye to Lily, the one with the small voice and so many questions. Okay, that's the end of chapter 1. I'll read chapter 2 tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys.